Hello, everyone. This is Jared Rasher, and this is my What Do I Know About Actual Play. We're doing something a little bit different here tonight. My regular group can't get together this evening, and I've been wanting to try Ironsworn, which is an RPG which has a solo mode to it. So I thought this would be a good time to try this out. I've done a little preliminary work before I started here, but that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Just to give you an idea about my character, if you haven't seen it before, Ironsworn is an interesting RPG. It is a fantasy RPG, and the premise is that your characters are people that travel the Ironlands, which are kind of a cold, harsh, unforgiving region, and adventurers are basically Ironsworn, and they go places and they make vows to complete tasks for other people, and that's how they basically measure their worth and their honor. That's their lot in life. That's what they vow to do. And the game itself is largely based on completing progress tracks. And one of the things that is very unique about the system, it has some DNA from say Powered by the Apocalypse and games like that. But essentially, whenever you roll, you're rolling a d6 plus a stat, and it rolls against two challenge die, which are d10s. So instead of the usual setup in a Powered by the Apocalypse game where you have the 6 minus and 7 and 9 and 10 plus for your resolution, that those tiers of resolution are actually instead based on either failing to get a hit or having a strong hit or a weak hit. A strong hit is when the d6 plus your stat is higher than both of the challenge die. A weak hit is when d6 plus your stat is larger than one of the challenge die but not the other. And if you fail to beat either of the challenge die, that's a situation where you have to pay the price, which is a specific move in this game which has certain consequences. What's also very interesting about this game is it includes several tables of what it calls oracles. And while the game is set up to where you can play in a traditional manner with a GM and a group of players, it is also set up to where you can use these oracles to guide solo play. So you won't necessarily know what's happening. You have a general idea of what's happening, but then you'll be faced with a choice that you have to make, and the oracle will present you with some choices to help you narrow that down and guide your story. So what I wanted to do tonight is to present my character going through some of these situations. I pre-established a few things, but there's some other things that I want to do as we're actually walking through the game together. And what I wanted to explain about the character first off is that I kind of wanted to design a character that was a cold northern inhabitant, a tough hunter and fighter and warrior, but I didn't necessarily want to go with the standard Nordic theme for that. So basically, the way I am envisioning this character is more of a person of Sami descent, and so basically they have like brown skin, they have black hair and gray eyes, and they're wearing a dyed woolen outfit which is like bright blue with red trim to it and lots of furs. What I picture Rassa carrying are two fighting knives. So basically almost the size of short swords, but instead of, being more refined and looking like swords, they're like two choppers, two heavy knives that you would crash down on things with. And I'm thinking, this is probably watching too much Fortune and Fire recently, so I'm picturing these long chopping knives instead of standard short swords. And he also carries a spear with him too. On top of that, when you create a character in Ironsworn, you have 5 stats, which are Edge, Heart, Iron, Shadow, and Wits. I picked the slightly higher list of stats that you can pick from. So that gave me 2 2s, 2 3s, and a 4 to assign to these stats. I did that in part because I'm playing through solo and just because I want to see what's going on. So I don't necessarily want to challenge myself so much as just see how this normally runs. So for my edge, I assign myself 2. For my heart, I assign myself 4. Iron, I assign myself 3. Shadow, I assign myself 2. And wits, I assign myself 3. Part of that is because I picture Rassa being very heartfelt and honest and true and steadfast in what he's doing, and not so much willing to dabble with the forces of corruption, and probably being a little soft-hearted about the vows that he does take. And the other part of character creation is picking 3 assets. The game itself has all of these assets listed, but there are asset decks that you can buy that have them formatted as cards. I went ahead and took 3 assets, and those 3 assets are Improviser, which is basically going to make me a little bit better when I have to scrounge around for equipment. Berserker, which is I took specifically because I'm picturing Rassa as being kind of this fur-clad, fur and woolen outfit clad character. I don't picture him picking up a lot of armor, and I picture him not necessarily using a shield. So I kind of wanted to use Berserker because it specifically is called out when you're clad only in animal pelts. So that's going to make him a little bit more vicious in a fight, but also it kind of reflects the fact that he's able to move around and dodge a bit more. And that is going to give me a bonus to secure an advantage or compel. Both of these, Improviser and Berserker, once you get experience points, you can invest those in getting new assets or improving the assets that you have. And both of these assets have the first tier marked on them, and they have 2 more tier. And if I wanted to improve one of these assets, once I get experience points, I would invest experience points in advancing one of these talents or another. You get experience points by fulfilling your vows, which is another thing that I like about this system because it is driving the core loop of play. If the point of this system is to play heroes that are making these vows and that's what they live for, it makes sense that you're not giving them XP for finding treasure or killing things. You're giving them XP for fulfilling their vows. And sometimes you might have to do certain things during your vows, like fight off wild animals or monsters. But if your vow is to find somebody and bring them back to a village, that's all ancillary to you fulfilling your vow. The important thing is that you find the person and bring them back. And the third asset that I picked up was I have a young wyvern. I liked the idea of having an animal companion, but the way the young wyvern works is initially none of its 3 assets are checked off, so I have to advance this before it does anything for me. And essentially what it does for me right now is it won't eat me. That's literally the first level. So I have this wyvern. It trusts me enough not to look at me as if I am a meal, and I will have to invest more in it to get it to be a little bit more useful. But I like the idea of this. And my thought process is that Rassa has probably this kind of played into my thought process on who the character is. This young wyvern, I would have heard it crying somewhere, and without knowing for sure what kind of creature it was, I went to go free it. And even once I saw that it's this proto-dragon creature, I decided to cut it free from where it was trapped, and I fed it for a while it was injured. And in feeding it some of the animals that I had been hunting and giving it a rabbit or 2 once in a while, it decided that I was more useful for giving it food and nursing it back to health than I would be for it to try and kill me in my sleep and eat me. So that's a relationship that I have with this wyvern. I haven't named it yet, and I think part of that, it's not just because I can't think of a name, but I think part of that is also because Rassa hasn't decided that he hasn't decided how he feels about this thing other than the fact that he saved it, so he feels a certain obligation to keep it alive because he was the one that saved it. So those are the assets that I picked going into this. What I have kind of a rough idea about some of the things that I would like to do, but the first thing that I would like to start the session with is I have decided Rassa is going to go to a specific village. He's going to go to a village in the far north, and the circumstance around this village is that this is the equivalent of Yule. It is getting into winter. This is going to be the time when all of the legends say that the wild hunt goes across the sky, and at this point in time, all of the restless spirits that are still around in the world are looking for warm bodies, basically, to drain the warmth out of. So this is the point in time when all of the restless spirits and the Draugr decide to show up at the village and potentially make victims out of the human beings that are around. And this particular village has a reindeer skull. That reindeer skull, when you perform a certain ritual involving feeding it the blood of a young living reindeer, will actually help keep all of the spirits away during the nights of the wild hunt until the time when all of the spirits kind of disperse back to their natural locations. This village has had this for as long as anyone can remember. As long as they perform this ritual, the village is relatively safe from the restless spirits during the nights of the wild hunt. Unfortunately, there is a corrupted warlock that has come by and has stolen this from the village. All of this happened before Rassa stumbled upon the village. At this point in time, I am going to have Rassa show up at the village, and Rassa is going to, as is his wont, he has no vows that he is currently looking to fulfill, and his purpose is to fulfill vows. So he is going to go to this village and swear a vow to find this reindeer skull to make sure that the people of this village are safe during the nights of the wild hunt. So Rassa is going to now make a move. There is specifically a move, and if you have ever seen Powered by the Apocalypse games, moves are discrete actions and how to resolve them. So in this case, whenever you go to swear a new vow that you are going to complete, you roll to see how that vow starts off. You might end up facing a challenge right off the bat. You might feel really confident and get a good start on it. So we're going to see how Rassa does when he first stumbles upon this village and these people that are very concerned that in a few weeks the wild hunt will be upon them and they will have to deal with the restless dead. So, looking up in the rulebook, we have all right. So, swearing an Iron Vow. When you swear upon iron to complete a quest, write your vow and give the quest a rank, then roll plus heart. If you make this vow to a person or a community with whom you share a bond, add +1. Rassa has just wandered upon this village. He doesn't know these people yet. He's not close to them yet. He hasn't spent any time yet. So he doesn't have a bond with them at this point in time. He has just heard their story, and he has decided that he is going to swear a vow to help them. So he will take out one of his knives, and the knife is it's made, the blade is made of iron, and the handles are bronze, and he is going to hold up the blade, and he will take off his glove, and on one hand he will put that hand on the iron side of the glove, and the other hand is holding onto the handle, and he makes this vow, and he swears that he will find this artifact and make sure that these people will have their skull returned from this warlock so that they will be able to perform their ritual in time for the wild hunt. And if he does not manage to complete this vow, he will be in forfeit of his life. That's not necessary for the actual vow. You can forsake a vow, and there are consequences for that. But he is making this vow very seriously. He deeply wants to make sure that this is completed. So now that I've gone through all that, let's see how well this actually goes. So I rolled a 3 on the die. So that is going to give me, with my heart, that is going to be a 7. So for my challenge die, I rolled a 1 and a 10. So I'm going to get a weak hit. There is a stat that you track that is called momentum. When you have momentum that is higher than one of the challenge dice, you can cancel that one and then reset your momentum. Unfortunately, your momentum starts at 2. Therefore, I beat one die and the other die I cannot cancel out. Therefore, my momentum does not help me any. I have a weak hit when I first swear this vow. So, on a weak hit, you are determined, but begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum and envision what you do to find a path forward. So, the good news is that does mean that my momentum has gone from 2 up to 3, which means at this point, if I roll extremely low, but one of the challenge dice is a 3, I could still pull out a weak hit by canceling out that die. Hopefully we will keep building momentum so that we have that to use in a clutch situation. So I realize that I don't know where this warlock would have gone with this skull. I'm going to say, before I can even begin this quest, I am going to have to impress someone that can read the spirits in order to get me a location for where this person would be. Nobody in the village necessarily knows, but they do know that there's a wise woman that lives in the woods nearby that might have that kind of information. So Rassa is going to go visit her and try to impress her. And we are going to run this as a scene challenge. And I'm already, I'm seeing this vow as a formidable vow. And what that means is, on this tracker, whenever something actually resolves positively on the tracker, you fill in a box completely. What you do in this game is you can make a single mark or a double mark, or basically 2 X's to fill something in, depending on how hard something is to complete. Formidable means that you put the double X's and completely fill a box every time you are doing something towards the end of resolving it. For an epic situation, you would literally put 1 hash mark on there. So each line of a hash mark would fill into that box. So epic is something that's going to take you a really long time, because it's going to maybe take you several actions in a session just to fill in 1 box. Troublesome, you're filling in 3 boxes at a shot. Like, you're resolving a lot of it. And all of these trackers have 10 boxes on them. So I am going to go to this wise woman and try to impress her. I don't know what she's going to expect from me. So I am going to walk into the forest, and I think, let's see what move sounds good for this. There are lots of handy things that have the moves summarized. One of them is called Lodestar. What I'm going to do, I think, to find where this woman is at to begin with in this scene, I'm going to make a gather information roll. That's going to be my first step in finding her. So I'm going to ask around to all the people. I know she exists, I just don't know where she's at. So for my gather information, as I'm walking around asking all of the people in town about this, I will be rolling plus wits. So rolling my d6, and I got a 4. My wits are 3, so that gives me a 7. Let's see how well we do to resolve this by rolling my challenge die. Wow, that is horrible. So I rolled 2 10s for my challenge dice. So what that means is, despite knowing exactly the right questions to ask and going around talking to all the people. I approach it exactly the wrong way, and everyone is kind of looking at me, a little worried that I've made this vow, and I was so sure about making this vow, and yet I don't know the first steps to go forward on it. And that fear is making them a little concerned about providing me with any more information. So on a miss, your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. Pay the price. So let us go to the pay the price move. When you suffer the outcome of a move, choose one. Make the most obvious negative outcome happen. Envision 2 negative outcomes. Rate 1 is likely and ask the Oracle. So that's just a situation where if we don't have any idea what we want to do, we can consult this Oracle. I think since we were envisioning this as a challenge scene gives you a 4-box marker, so that if you fill up those 4 boxes before you fill up your 10 for resolving a scene, you end up failing that scene. So if I don't end up filling in all these boxes, this woman is not going to be an option for me to get this information. I'm going to have to think of some other way to find out where this warlock took the skull. So I'm going to mark the first box of that as paying the price. It's getting harder for me to even find where this woman is at. So we're marking that 1 box. Hopefully I will make some more progress on this before that. So the next thing I'm going to do in order to try and find her, I'm going to I think at this point I am going to attempt to compel. And for a compel, basically I'm going to find one of the villagers that was kind of cagey with me, and I'm going to corner them in a way that is a little bit more confrontational. I'm going to tell them how dangerous this situation is, how I am their only hope, and if they aren't willing to work with me, they are going to have to face the consequences of all of the restless dead spirits without me. I will be willing to lay down my life for them, but they have to meet me halfway. They can't expect me to be treated as an outsider if I'm going to be helping them. So I'm going to now try the compel move. So with the compel move, I am going to I'm going to roll plus iron for this one. Now, because I am using compel and because I have Berserker, I'm a little bit scary when I do this, which means that I gain a +1 on this, and I will actually get momentum if I get a hit on this, because I am a very intense person. That's one of my assets. So we're going to roll this. My iron is 3, but I get a +1, so that's going to be 4. That gives me yet again a 7. And now we're going to roll the challenge dice. All right, much better this time. So my challenge dice were a 4 and a 2. So that means I got a strong hit. When I finally just tracked somebody down and said, look, I need this information, we can't screw around with this anymore, then that worked out well for me. And this person is a little concerned that I went off on them like this, but then they see that I'm trying to help them, and they eventually tell me the way to the wise woman's shack out in the woods. Now, the wonderful thing about this is now I add 1 momentum, so I'm up to 4, which means if I really want to get a strong hit, or if I really want to get a hit and one of the challenge dice is a 4 and I roll super low, I can cancel that out and at least get a weak hit out of that. So our momentum is helping us out a lot here. And so let's see if there's anything else that goes along with this. So on a compel, I take an additional momentum. Aha. So that brings my momentum up to 5. So at some point, I'm going to have a clutch move here where I'm able to pull out a win when I shouldn't have. So now that I have asked around about this, this is a formidable task of convincing her to help me. So the first step, I filled in 1 box. I only need to fill in 9 more boxes, and then we're all set. So I end up going to where she is at, and I would like to be able to do something to impress her. So I think in this case, I am just going to excuse me, I'm just making sure that I'm picking the right move for what I'm attempting to do. I think this is going to be a compel as well. I'm going to ask her, but I'm going to make sure she knows how important this is. So I show up at her shack out in the woods. The trees are gray and skeletal because the leaves have fallen off of them, except for like pines that are up by the near the foothills of the mountain. And there's this gray shack out in the middle of nowhere. And I call on her. I say that I wish to be invited in because I do not wish to intrude upon her, but this is a matter of utmost importance, and I need her to grant me an audience. So I'm going to go ahead and try for this compel. So that's 4, and that's 4, and I don't know. Unfortunately, this time I think I am trying to charm. I'm not trying to threaten her right off the bat, so I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get that bonus for my. I'm not going to get that bonus for being wild at heart. So what we get in this case then is a 4 plus heart, which gives me an 8. That's not too bad. And oh my gosh, these challenge die hate me. So I get an 8 on my roll, and the challenge die are a 7 and a 9. Using momentum won't help me yet for this one. So in this case, this is going to be a weak hit. She doesn't turn me away. So on a weak hit, they will ask something of me in return. And I am going to say that I am willing to do whatever in order to gain an audience with her, as long as she promises that upon me fulfilling that promise, she will invite me in and we can speak of what I need to do in order to recover this skull. And she is going to ask me to recover something in the woods for her. I am thinking this is going to be a very specific herb, and I have enough woods lore that I should be able to find this herb for her and bring it back to her. But given that this is winter, it's become harder and harder to find it. Things are cold, things are dry, there's leaves all over everything. So this is going to be a task that I have to set out and find her this herb and bring it back to her as tribute. So now I am going to So I'm thinking as I am looking at this, tied in the fight, strike, battle, face death. I think in this case, the move for resupply is very specifically about you bolstering your resources. So even though it says when you hunt, forage, or scavenge, roll plus wits, I think that is much more about you finding your own supplies for when you're undertaking a longer trip. And I am specifically looking for something for someone else. This isn't going to add to my supplies. So I think in this case, this is actually going to be a gather information. I'm gathering information on trying to find where this would be located. And it's not really going to be a challenge just to pick up these herbs that I find, but I am going to have to figure out where I can collect them from. So in that case, I am going to be rolling plus wits. Unfortunately, my improviser talent only helps when I'm looking for my own supplies, so that's not going to come up. But thankfully, my wits are 3, so I'm not in too bad of a situation here. So I set out about these woods, looking underneath all of the fallen leaves and the detritus from the winter, trying to find what's left of these herbs out here. And I roll a 5, which is pretty good. It gives me an 8 again. And my challenge dice are an 8 and a 1. So that means I get a strong hit. I go out here looking for these herbs. I use my talents scavenging and foraging, and I managed to find these herbs clinging to the base of a tree. I cut them with one of my knives, and I put it in one of my pouches. So on a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. And that is exactly what I did. And I get +2 momentum. That's handy. So my momentum is now up to 7. So now with this newfound momentum and my way in there, I am going to walk up to her and tell her that I have the herb and I would like to be invited in so we can start to parlay about me finding out where to go. And in this instance, I'm going to say my progress tracks on a hit. So I was successful talking to her to get the quest in the first place, and I was successful with the quest. So I am up to 3 out of 10 and only 1 failure so far. So we're doing a little bit better when it comes to convincing her to give me the proper path to move forward. I go in and I meet with her. She takes the herb from me, and she has a lot of it in supply. She just happens to put it with the rest that she already has stocked, but then she makes a joke about needing to make sure she's stocked up for the winter. She makes me a very bitter tea that I don't particularly like, and she kind of scrutinizes me as I am drinking it, but I do so out of courtesy because she invited me in and she gave it to me. And then I make my heartfelt plea to her about exactly what needs to be done in order to secure the village. And I tell her that she may have her own ways for keeping the spirits at bay. I don't know, but the village is completely at the mercy of these spirits if they do not get the skull back. I need to know what she knows about this corrupted warlock, and if she might know a place that he might have taken the skull, or if she has some means of tracking the skull. People in the town refer to her as a witch, sometimes in a manner that is complimentary, sometimes in a manner that is in kind of a warning tone. But if she knows anything mystical that would help me, I would greatly appreciate it. So at this point, we are going to once again go for the compel. And in this particular instance, definitely not threatening her or lying or swindling. So we're back to charming, pacifying, bartering, or convincing. So I am going to be rolling plus heart. This is a situation, if I were to stay in this area, I kind of already like, the feeling of hanging out with this woman. I probably would spend some time to forge a bond with her, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing that yet. We'll see how the rest of this quest goes so far. So I'm going to be rolling plus heart this time. Ooh, that is only a 6. Let's see how these challenge dice go. Hey, I think she likes me because I rolled a 6, but my challenge dice were a 4 and a 1, which gives me another strong hit. So I plead this case to her. I tell her that I need I need this information. I need to be able to track down this. I need to be able to track down the skull and where this warlock might be. I need this information in order to find out how I can save the village. And she sees that Rassa is very earnest. She appreciates that. She kind of laughs at his youthful enthusiasm, and she starts telling me about the sites of power that are nearby. And so on a strong hit, I get, once again, +1 momentum. So we're going to move this up yet again. So that takes my momentum up to 8. And since this is, if you use this in exchange to gather information, make that move now and add a +1. So yeah, we're going to go to gather information and try and fill out more of this track to see what else she's going to tell me. So on gather information. So that is plus wits. So that is an 8. And my challenge die are a 3 and a 2. That means that strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. Pass you must follow, or another progress to be played. Envision what you learn and take +2 momentum. Yay! So we are maxed out on momentum. That'll be good. It'll be good to bank for a very important situation. I'm going to say on this, on a compel, so yes, I made that move and added +1. We're going to consider both of those hits. She tells me, since this isn't filled up yet, but we haven't failed for a while, we still have 5 more tracks to go. This wasn't easy figuring out where this person is at, and she tells me about all these places of power in the area. And she needs me to scout out these places of power and to see which ones are the most likely, which ones have been disturbed. She needs me to tell her all of the signs that are around these places of power. So this is a situation where she tells me various places that have been haunted, where certain rituals have been done, and she just needs me to bring back some more information so she can tell me for sure which site she thinks that this warlock has taken the skull. So I prepare myself to head out and search around the area, do some scouting, look for any tracks, see if I can see any strange marks or rituals being done anywhere. So I'm going to say that is a gather information check. I will check all of the paths leading out of the town and see what's going on here. So I'm gathering information. That is a 6 plus my wits, which is a 9. And that is a 7 and a 4. So that is a strong hit as I am scouting these locations. I go to various places and tell her the feelings that I get in those places. I tell her where places feel warmer than they should have or colder than they should have. And she tells me based on these, on the various places of power, what she thinks of potential locations. So I can't get any more momentum, but I didn't get any complications. She narrows down my path a little bit, and she tells me that I won't be going down near the river. The river is not the path that he has gone, because I've gone to the river, given her the signs of the river, and the river is not his path. I've gone to the foothills of the mountains, and the foothills of the mountain are not the path. So she has narrowed down those two places for me. Now she needs me to go closer to the path that leads directly up into the mountain in order to get more information. And I will scout out that location for her. And I think in that case, I think at this point, it would make sense that because I've been doing all the scouting and running around, I've gone out in the woods, I'm going to have to make camp before I can scavenge and do this. So we're going to look at the make camp move and see how the night goes for me. When you rest and recover for several hours in the wild, roll plus supply. On a strong hit, you and your allies may each choose 2. On a weak hit, choose 1. So supply, every so often, one of these moves is based on your actual track. And health, spirit, and supply are all tracks that go from 1 to 5. So you start off, as long as you aren't, under the gun for anything, you start off with a +5. So for this, I'm well supplied. I haven't been, I'm in pretty good shape since I left the village. So I'm going to be rolling this at +5. So that gives me a 10. So there, I can't really fail this particular one, but my challenge dice were 9 and 3. So it's a strong hit. So we will choose 2 of these. Recuperate would give me back health, but I haven't lost any health yet. Suffer, partake would let me spend supplies to get back health. Yeah, the sad thing is, I made camp basically because I wanted to see the move. I'm maxed out on everything at the moment, so making camp, I just didn't have a bad thing happen in this instance. So we're going to move on from there, but at least we engaged the move just to see what it looks like. And so far, I'm really good at camping. So now I am going to attempt to, I think in this case, she wants to know a very specific thing in order to read the direction that he may have gone. She knows he's not the river. She knows he's not in the hills. So near the mountain pass, she wants a very specific thing. And she wants me to secure a stone that looks a specific way. She described it to me, and I'm going to look for it. So I'm going to secure an advantage. I'm going to go look for this and hunt down this advantage and find out if I can find this precise stone that she mentioned to me. And there's so many stones on this path, so this might be a tricky situation. So I head over here, and when you assess a situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage, envision your action and roll. If you act with speed and agility or precision, roll plus edge. With charm, loyalty, or courage, roll plus heart. With aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, and endurance, roll plus iron. With deception, stealth, or trickery, roll plus shadow. Or with expertise, insight, or observation, roll plus wits. I think in this case, since I am looking for a specific specific stone for this secure advantage, I'm going to be rolling plus wits. So I'm going to look around and find the specific thing. Just like I've looked for specific things in these other locations, I'm going to find the exact stone that she needs to read. So that is a 3, and my wits are 3, so that gives me a 6. So that gives me a 2 and a 7 on my challenge dice. And yes, this is another instance where I need to learn these moves better, because secured advantage has a lot to do with momentum, so I could spend momentum to get more momentum. In this case, I got a strong hit. I'm actually going to switch that back around to gather information. I got what I wanted to learn, so I learned exactly where the stone was at, and I'm going to bring it back to her. I didn't face any extra trials after I found the stone, and I bring it back to her. She reads the stone, and this is another, I only have 3 more to mark on this, and this probably, in hindsight, could have been a simpler challenge. I was trying to keep all of my challenges in the formidable zone, but I think in this instance, this could have just been could have been more of a troublesome side journey. But this is me learning the rules, and this is fun. So I still have 3 more spots to learn before this woman loves to give me the runaround. She's being helpful, but in tiny increments. So I bring her back the stone, and she looks at it and she smiles, and she does some things with the stone, and she says she can't quite tell me where he's at yet, but we're almost there. And I notice that she's configuring something strange on the table in her room, as if she is about to perform a ritual. And I realize that even though she was telling me that he is not in these particular locations, she seems to be gathering components for a spell now, and I didn't quite pick up on that earlier. So, at this point, I think, just to make this interesting, she tells me that the next thing that I'm going to have to get is it is higher up on a cliff face. It is the wood from a specific bush that lies on a cliff face, and she knows exactly where it's at this time. I don't have to find it. I don't have to do anything to look this up, but this is going to be a challenge of me physically reaching that, because no path actually reaches it. She can see it, and this bush is a special bush with blue wood, and she needs it for the next step of what she is doing. So I am going to have to face danger in order to do this, because we need to do something more interesting and something that could possibly put me in danger. And, before we even get into any fights, I think I want to do something that's going to be perilous. So I'm going to climb up this cliff face and see how I do. So when you face danger, you attempt something risky or react to an imminent threat. Envision your action and roll. If you act with speed and agility or precision, roll plus edge. With charm, no. With aggressive action, no. Deception, expertise. I am thinking in this case, I think I could make a case for expertise. Like, I know how to roll to make my way around in the wilderness, but at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, since I have that Berserker trait and I am kind of young and impetuous and very earnest, I think I'm going to do this with speed, agility, and precision, and roll plus edge. And my edge is only 2. So that's going to make this a little bit more of an interesting challenge, but I honestly think that's what he would do, because it's more of an impetuous thing. I'm getting tired of this. This is taking too long. I'm going to climb up this cliff face, and I'm going to do it quickly because I know how to climb. I'm not going to take time to plan out a very safe and careful path. So that is a 6, and my challenge dice are a 5 and a 1. So apparently the gods of this setting are really fond of me doing impetuous and stupid things. And I climb up this cliff face, and rocks kind of tumble down at me, and on a strong hit, I would take momentum, except I am maxed out on my momentum. I'm amazing. And also because I had a simple information gathering quest that I set at formidable, which I shouldn't have done. But on top of that, I managed to climb up here. I can't get any more momentum, but I do manage to face danger. I climb up there. I don't have to pay the price. There's no further complications. I grab the wood off of this bush and bring it back to her. So now we only have two more things that we must do in order to endure the situation. And I think I know what the last thing is going to be. But the interim, I want to find something interesting to do in the interim. So I think I'm going to look up on the Oracle and find something interesting. So we're going to look on the Action Oracle. 52. $88. I think she's going to tell me. And what I got there was an action and a theme, and it was to serve knowledge. And I think in order to serve knowledge, to get prepared for what she wants, while she is preparing things inside the hut, she wants me to go out and appease the forest spirits. That's not something I usually do, so this is going to be interesting for me. And I think in this case, I think we're going to make this a compel. Basically, she tells me how to appease the forest spirit so that the spirit will grant her the information that she needs as she's preparing the ritual inside. But I still have to carry out the instructions, even though she has told me exactly how to do it. So in this case, I think I am going to use plus heart for this because I am making an impassioned plea. You know, this woman's growing on me. I really like her, even though she's kind of making this an arduous experience. And so I tell the spirit that I really want her to be safe and I want her to be able to gain this knowledge, but I want her to do it in a safe way. And I appeal to the spirit and how much I care for this woman that I've been working with for the last few days. And that gives me a 7. And my challenge dice are a 4 and a 3. Challenge dice have really been liking me these last few rolls. So that's going to be a strong hit. I can't gain any more momentum, but I do manage to talk this forest spirit into basically possessing her and helping to guide her in these final steps. So there's only one more of these left, and I know what I want to do for this. What I want to do for this is there is specifically a malevolent spirit that is going to be that is going to be sent out by this warlock to obscure her being able to find him. And I can't really do much to harm the spirit. All I can do is to keep it away from her. So this isn't going to be a full-fledged fight. It's just going to be me trying to weather the storm for as long as he can direct it. And she is searching for him. And if she completes the ritual in time, then she can cut off the bond and the spirit will go away. But until that time, I have to keep it away from her. So I am going to be facing danger during that situation. And I think in this case, I think that's another situation where I'm going to be using speed, agility, and precision. I'm going to be basically just, trying to get its attention and to dart around and to interpose myself in between her and the spirit. Do whatever I can because I can't actually fight it. So we're going to use edge on this, which is not my best stat, but we're going to use that to see how it goes. So she does the ritual. The forest spirit guides her. She starts seeing through the forest spirit's eyes and seeing the path that this man has gone on. And the warlock sends this dark, shadowy spirit to us, and it is searching her and is darting out from the shadows and reaching at her. And it can only attack her from the shadows. So that's why it doesn't just show up and kill her. So every so often, though, the shadows reach out and try and touch her, and I have to see where those shadows are and jump over and interpose myself. And because I am not the target, and he doesn't really know me because he hasn't made contact with me. He's only connected with her through the ritual. This thing can graze me and injure me, but it can't full on try and murder me. So I could get messed up pretty bad interposing myself, but it's not going to come after me directly. So let's see how this scene with these reaching, grasping shadows trying to take on our friendly witch looks like as I jump around the room trying to interpose myself. All right. This may be when I spend edge. I rolled a 5 with my +2 on edge, and both my challenge dice were a 6, which would be a failure, but I can spend edge to cancel one of those out and reset my edge down to 2. So we're going to do that now. Reset my momentum, that is. Which gives me a weak hit. So my weak hit on face danger. You are delayed, lose advantage, or face a new danger. You are tired or hurt, endure harm. You are dispirited or afraid, endure stress. You sacrifice resources. I actually think in this case, because it wasn't sent after me and it could harm me, but I basically need to just find what shadow it's reaching out from and opposing it. I think I'm just weary. I don't want to see her get hurt. So I think I'm going to take the hit to spirit. So it's just, basically just the effort of doing this during the entire vigil for all the hours that it takes her to complete this ritual. So I am going to mark my spirit down to 4. So, yeah, that sounds good. So that completes this. The nice thing is I didn't get any more failures. I only got 1 failure on this entire scene challenge. So I managed to complete it without having the failures trigger, so I had to go a different way. I spent some time with her here, and I'm actually feeling pretty friendly with her. I've gotten the information. She's given me this. She knows exactly where the warlock is at now. After I brought her all these things from all the different parts of the forest and the hills and the mountain, and she's conjured this forest spirit, and she's actually found out exactly where he's at, and she knows that he is in this ancient burrow that is up in the mountains, and she knows the general location of it. I should be able to find it, but that's not a given because I'm going to have to travel along this road. But she knows that he is in this burrow. He is doing something with this skull, and this burrow is his new home. And the burrow, I actually looked up. There is an Ironsworn Delve book, and in the Ironsworn Delve book, they give you some information on dungeon delving in the same system, other than just kind of like traveling from place to place and fulfilling vows. And I already did a little bit of work on that beforehand, and I determined that the delve is going to be a corrupted burrow. So it's not necessarily just undead. There are possibly rituals that touch other worlds that shouldn't be touched that have touched this place. So there might be undead there, but there also might just be warped things that have been corrupted by foul magics, which I think is appropriate for our warlock absconding with this relic that can keep away the dead. So we know that I am looking for this delve. We know that it's in the mountains. I still need to travel there. But before I head out, I actually think that I've spent enough time with my friend here that I am going to attempt the sojourn move. And basically that just means that I'm going to start making a bond with her. Or no, sorry, not sojourn. Forge a bond. When you spend significant time with a person or community, stand together to face hardships, or make sacrifices for their cause, you can attempt to create a bond. I haven't spent much time in the village, but I spent a lot of time with her, and even though she's not in the village, I think we kind of like each other, so I think Forge a bond is going to be appropriate in this situation. So I'm going to roll plus heart. I am good at making bonds. People like me. I am earnest. I'm that young go-getter that really wants to help other people. So before we leave, we spend some time talking to each other, and she tells me some stories about her family and people that have lived in this region, and how her family has always been from this region, but there's always one of them that keeps watch over the village, but they have to remain separate in order to do their job properly. And that she put me through all these paces because she wanted to make sure I was a proper champion, not because she was resistant to help the village. And I spent some time telling her that I know that I am Ironsworn, but I'm young. I have not completed many vows yet, and that I feel the need to complete this one and to save the people of this village. And we are going to see how this bond goes. All right, so it could have gone better. That is a 6. We have a 10 and a 4. So it's a weak hit. And it's probably because I'm trying to forge this bond, but it really was, we spent a lot of time together. We did some intense things together, but it was only a couple days. And it's because I was asking her for a favor, even though it's something she was already going to do. So maybe didn't pull us quite as closely as we could have been. So on a weak hit, they ask something more of you first. Envision what it is, do it, or swear an iron vow, and mark the bond. If you refuse or fail, pay the price. I like this because you can actually have more than one vow. And I think I am going to swear a vow. And I think this is going to be more of the long-term story arc for this character. So I am going to actually swear the vow to her that I will do something that she asks of me. And at that point, we'll start a tracker for how close our bond is. And so I'm going to say that she has, she's getting older. She needs somebody to take over this place and to watch over this village. And she hasn't heard from her family in a while. So she needs me to find her family. She knows the direction they have gone. She knows, what settlements they have moved off to, but she needs me to find a member from her line that is willing to come here and train with her and take her place. And she gives me the name of the place where they're at, and I am going to swear that bond that I will find that person and bring them back here so that she will have an heir to keep on her, to train for her guardianship going forward. So let's see how well that bond goes. So we are going to swear an iron vow. I think, yeah, like I said, I'm thinking of this as a more long-term. So, this one I'm envisioning as formidable. So I think I'm going to picture that one as an extreme. So that one's going to be an extreme vow, which means I need to do 2 separate things for each thing. And basically for your long-term vows, you can do little steps to it, gather information, fight off a person that's looking for someone here and there, and just like whittle away at these bigger things so that you can have the shorter vows that are more your A plot. And then you can have your long-term season arcs, to use, television terminology, as your longer, more epic vows that you're trying to complete by doing a little bit of it here and there. So I think I'm going to make this a formidable vow. And then roll plus heart. We don't share a bond yet because we don't have the bond until I swear this vow. So I don't get the +1 that I would normally get for having a bond with them. So that is an 8. A 10 and a 7, so it's a weak hit. You are determined to begin your quest, but you begin your quest with more questions than answers. Take +1 momentum and envision what you do to find a path forward. I'm going to say, since this is going to be a thing, I don't know where to start, and I'll need to start looking around to figure out where I need to start after I complete this vow. But I swear it to her, and I will start trying to complete that later on. So we swore this vow. I get 1 momentum for it. So I'm going to mark that, move myself back up to 3 momentum. And yeah, that's good. Now I'm going to start traveling up into the mountains. So we're going to get a look at the Undertake a Journey rolls. So all right. I think I'm going to say in this case, I've spent a little bit of time working on this, so this is just a dangerous journey. There's some pitfalls to it, but it's not going to take a long time. I know where I'm going. It's just potentially dangerous. I'm going up into the mountains. It's rough terrain and it's cold. So it's more than troublesome, but it's less than formidable. So yeah, we'll be, that means that whenever I do something successful, I'll be marking 2 full boxes instead of just doing single ticks or a single box. There'll be 2 full boxes every time I do something successful. So here I go on the first segment of my journey, and I'm going to roll plus wits. So my wits are 3, and I rolled a 1, so that's a 4. And I got an 8 and a 7 for my challenge die. My momentum is not enough that I can offset that. So the first leg of my journey, after I leave, I am feeling excited and energized. I'm going to go up into the mountains. I'm going to find this warlock. I'm going to enter this barrow, and I'm just going to take this from him. And I am so full of myself that I start winding around on these roads. And for a on a miss, you are waylaid by a perilous event. So I'm going to roll on the Oracle for the pay the price, because I'm not entirely sure what I want this perilous event to look like. So let's see, 58. It causes a delay or puts you at a disadvantage. I don't really like that one so much. It's not very evocative, especially since I haven't made any momentum yet. This is just me first starting off into the mountains. So 67, it is harmful. So that that makes sense that I start going up this road into the mountain, and I am going onto this pass, and I don't notice that the bridge that I'm on is actually not in the best of shape. I am eyeing the prize. I'm actually talking to my my wyvern, and I'm telling it all of the things that I'm going to do to this magician, and the wyvern is just chattering back at me, and not really keeping an eye out for me because we haven't formed that kind of bond yet. And he's just kind of screeching along, and I get so caught up in having this conversation with him that I don't realize that some of the planks on the bridge are not particularly stable. So I'm going to endure harm now as I fall through this rickety bridge. And this is when you face physical harm, suffer health equal to your foe's rank or is appropriate to the situation. If your health is 0, suffer momentum equal to any remaining health. Then roll plus health or plus iron, whichever is higher on a strong hit, choose. So I'm going to say in this case, falling through the bridge, I kind of strained myself catching, on there. I'm not going to say this is a big amount. I'm going to take harm. I'm going to say this is probably, we're just starting off. So we're going to say this is 1 harm. So my health is down to 4 now. And so now we're going to roll plus harm or plus iron, whichever is higher. So my iron is 3 and my health is 4. So we're going to roll plus health. So let's see how this goes. So that is 7. And we get an 8 and a 2. Let's see what happens. On a weak hit, you press on. On a strong hit, you suffer -1 momentum in exchange for 1 health. I can't get a strong hit, so on a weak hit, you just press on. So I take the hit in health, but I pull myself up. The wyvern lands on the bridge and cackles at me a little bit, and I'm really surprised that a wyvern can cackle. I haven't spent that much time with a wyvern before, and I'm just starting to the image I'm starting to get with this thing is that it is even though it looks like this kind of scary miniature dragon with a barbed tail, I'm picturing it having kind of sounding kind of like a bird when it's cackling at me. And I pull myself up from the bridge, I strain my shoulder, I get back up, I move slowly across, and I resolve to keep my eye out for things a little bit better in the future. So I continue to keep moving forward. And now we're going to go back to undertaking a journey. So, we've made no progress in this journey so far because I wasted so much time falling through that bridge. Ooh, that is a 6. That is a 6. And it is plus wits. I know I already knew this before, but so that was a 9. So my challenge dice are a 5 and a 1. So once I get my head out of my ass and I stop arguing with the wyvern and falling through bridges, I start making some decent progress. So I start traveling along here, and let's see, that was a strong hit. So make good use of your resources, mark progress. Or you move at speed, mark progress, and take +1 momentum, but suffer -1 supply. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to move my supply down 1. And actually, the way I'm going to envision that is it wasn't so much that I used it, it's that I dropped some of it off when I fell through the bridge. Some of it fell through there, and I didn't notice it until now. And so my momentum is up to 4. And since this is a dangerous journey, I make 2 marks here. Now, one of the things that you can do on certain progress tracks, not necessarily in the challenge scenes, but in certain progress tracks, you can decide to basically try and roll plus the boxes that you have filled in, and you have a chance to make your mark early. This is only 2 boxes, so I'm not going to try and cut this short by making the reach your destination. But if I get a few more, I might try and not fill out all 10 of these and just make the reach your destination roll. That's one of the things that I do like about this system. That's something you can do for reach your destination. It's something you can do for for like when you go into combat, when you make a certain amount of progress, instead of waiting until you fill up the whole thing, you can say, no, I'm ending this now, and do one big dramatic swing at the end to end a fight. And you might end it way earlier, or you might roll horribly and find out that you should have kept whittling away at somebody slowly. So I kind of like that give and take and how you can do those sorts of things with this system. But at the moment, I'm going to keep moving along on my trip here. I have 2 filled in, and I'm going to keep undertaking my journey. So we've had a bad day and a good day. I fell through a bridge. I kept moving. So now 5 plus wits is 7. That is 2 6s. So that is a strong hit. I actually think, since I got a strong hit again, I'm going to take the momentum, lose supply, and keep moving. Like, this trip is going really well. I'm burning through my food and things that I'm using for that, but my momentum is creeping up there as well. So I have 4 progress. And 4 progress, and I'm down to 3 supply, but my momentum is up to 5 now. So I'm feeling good about this trip at the moment. I may need to resupply at some point in time, but I'm in the wilderness. I'm young, I'm brave, I'm a good hunter. I should be able to resupply myself without any problems. It won't be like the bridge at all. And, as I'm saying this to myself, the wyvern, of course, kind of cackles at me because it remembers how young and foolish I am. So at this point, we're going to at least try one more segment of this journey before we bring it to an end. That gives me a 6. That is a 6 and a 4. So that gives me a weak hit on this leg of the journey. So on a weak hit, you reach a waypoint and mark progress, but suffer -1 supply. So I don't get any momentum for spending that supply. I just have to go through some more of my stores. So that brings us up to a +5. Almost willing to risk bring my supplies down to 2. Almost willing to risk rolling to end this journey now, because that's going to give me a +5 on this. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna roll, and that is a 6 + 5. Awesome. So that's automatically going to be a strong hit. All right. So when your journey comes to an end, roll the challenge die and compare it to your progress. Oh, I get it now. We won't be trying to end this early because you're just comparing it to your track. It's not plus your D6. It is just the track. This is something I probably noticed when I read through it the first time, but every time you play through things the first time, you notice little things that you didn't notice. So we're not going to try and bring this to a close early. We're going to do another segment of this journey first. I actually, I'm flavoring this as thinking that, we're just about to reach this area, and I don't realize there's this whole switchback that makes this thing a couple days longer, and I kind of start cussing to myself, and the wyvern laughs at me again, because that's the kind of relationship we have. So another day on this journey. That is an 8, and my challenge dice are 8 and 7. So that's going to be a weak hit on the Undertaker journey. I think, yeah, we're going to bump our supplies down 1 more. So we're down to 1 supply. And we make another mark. Still not quite willing to risk those challenge dice on a 6 there. So yeah, our supplies are getting low at this point in time. I think we might need to try a resupply. So I'm going to go out into the wild and hunt and forage and see what happens. So I'm going to roll plus wits for this as well. That is a 9. I rolled really well there. And that is a 7 and a 1 on my challenge dice. So that is a strong hit on my resupply. I'm going to take +2 supply. And I don't think I'm going to push it. I went out hunting. I found a lot of edible plants, and I caught a few rabbits, and I threw 1 to the wyvern, and my supply is back up to 3. I'm not going to push it there quite yet. I'm down 1 spirit and 1 health. I don't know if it's worth it to make camp. Yeah, my supply is only 3. You know what? I think I will make camp, just because I haven't done it yet on this trip. And obviously I've probably been resting and doing some form of making camp. I haven't been traveling like 4 or 5 days without making camp at all. But this is formally taking a little bit of extra time to relax at the camp and to see if I get anything from it. So let's make a make camp check here. So we're going to be rolling plus supply, and my supply is only 3 right now. That's a 7. Challenge die are 9 and 3. So that's a weak hit. On a weak hit, I can choose one of these options. I think in this case, I'm not as worried about my spirit, my health being 1 lower, but I think as I'm getting closer to this destination, I may want more momentum. So I'm going to bump my momentum up to 6. So we spent some time foraging, we spent some time resting up, but now we need to get back on the road, go further up into the mountains. So it's time to undertake a journey again. Let's get back on this road and do another segment of this trip. So that is a 7. Oh, it's an 8 and a 10. So this segment of the journey did not go well. On a miss, you are waylaid by a perilous event. Pay the price. Let's go to the Oracle and see what kind of price I'm paying here. Something of value is lost or destroyed. Do I have anything of value that I could really lose at this point in time? Something that would be I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to go with that one. Let's go back to the Oracle. It is stressful. You know what? I like that because that fits with the narrative I was already establishing. I thought I was closer, and I see that switchback, and I see how much longer I'm traveling, even after resting up and getting a little bit more momentum and getting a little bit more supplies. I'm still realizing this trip is taking forever. It's getting colder. It's getting longer. It's getting closer to when they need the skull back. People are counting on me, and I might just be defeated by not being able to travel down a road fast enough. So I am going to face desolation. And that is when you are brought to the brink of desolation, roll plus heart. So my heart is 4. Gives me a 9. So unless my challenge die really hate me, one of my challenge dice really hates me. So that's a 10. It's going to be a weak hit because I rolled a 3 on the other challenge dice. So on a weak hit, you choose your spirit or sanity breaks, but not before you. Ooh, that's terrible. Wow, this could go horrible for me. I don't, there's nothing for me to make a noble sacrifice while I'm on the road, but I think the second option, you see a vision of a dreaded event coming to pass, envision a dark future, and swear an iron vow to prevent it. I like this. I'm going to say this might have something to do with the overall events that this warlock has set in motion. It's not necessarily what he's doing right now, but he has done numerous things. So while I'm sleeping after I make camp, I start dreaming about this warlock, and I see his face for the first time, and I see this dread mask that he has painted in blood, and the robes that he is wearing, and I see that he has been collecting these sorceress items from various places and traveling and performing rituals in different spots, and this is happening all over the north. I haven't caught him doing any of these other things, but I see this calamitous, like I see a rift opening in the ground and fire pouring out of the rift, and people from a lot of, not just this recent village that I found, but even like larger settlements just burning as this rift grows further, and society just falls into this rift, and something that he has done is potentially going to set this in motion. And when I wake up from my dream, I swear that I am going to stop this. Now, here's the problem. If I don't at least get a weak hit when I swear this vow, I'm done for. I am lost, and that could be the end of my story. And this could be a fun way to end this whole thing before I even got into a fight. So when I swear my vow, I think this is going to be epic. This is like a big long-term epic vow for me to swear. This is an important thing. So I'm going to swear this vow, and I'm going to say that I will stop this calamity. I will find all these artifacts. I will, I'll take them back to where they belong so that this calamity cannot happen. And as I swear that, I roll plus heart. Wow. Apparently someone wants me to die. So that's a 5. Okay, so the nice thing here is I rolled a 4 and a 6 on my challenge dice. I could burn my momentum to make this a strong... No, I can't burn my momentum. It has to be... Let me read that one more time. Okay, yeah, it has to be higher. So I can only have a weak hit. I can't cancel out my 6. So I get a weak hit on this. And for my weak hit on my swearing and Iron Vow, I am determined. Yeah, this is actually a good one for me because I'm kind of emboldened by taking the vow. So I take +1 momentum, but I don't know where to start. So I'm going to have to do some legwork to figure out how to even start on this thing. And it won't count towards me progressing towards solving it at all. So I have 2 quests now that I have to do some legwork on before I can even start my progress bar on either one of those. But that's better than me completely succumbing to despair and being lost forever in these mountains, which was a possibility with that move because I picked a really rough move to resolve there. So the nice thing is that moves my momentum back up to 7, and I have an epic quest and a formidable quest that I can do after this quest. Yay! So let's try and make it through the rest of these mountains, shall we? That was a horrible, horrible segment of this trip. Let's not do that again. Let's undertake this journey again. That's a 9 for my wits. Wow. These challenge dice really want to make this a challenge for me because it's a 9, so I didn't beat the second one, so I only got a weak hit on this one. Definitely going to make some more progress, but I'm going to suffer a -1 supply. So let's go in here, mark down my supply. I'm back down to 2. And I think at this point, I'm at 8 on my progress bar. So I think I'm going to risk it and see if I can reach my destination without performing any more segments of this trip, because this has been a rough trip through the mountains. All right. All right. That's an 8, and I got 7 and a 9. I have 8 on my progress tracker, and I got a 7 and a 9 on my challenge die. That means I got a weak hit, so I did manage to make it the rest of the way. I didn't get lost. I didn't have to start all over again. But on a weak hit, you arrive and face an unforeseen hazard or complication. Envision what you find. I think I need a fight. I think we need to actually see Rassa get into a fight here. And I'm thinking as we finally get here, I see the entrance to this barrow. I'm relieved because we're going to start delving into it, and I'm going to find this warlock, and I'm going to fix the situation. I'm going to figure out what needs to be done. And as I'm saying all of that, the wyvern starts screeching at me and warning me that something's on its way. And let's see what a good I think we'll go with a troll. I think we'll have a troll up here. And there is a troll. The troll has long limbs and translucent skin, camouflage to the environment. I'm picturing trolls a lot like as they appear in Skyrim, where they're almost Yeti-like. And this is a formidable threat. This troll has been living up in these mountains. He doesn't like someone nearby. The wyvern further scared him, so he is going to come out and get a meal and then retreat, because in his mind he's a little bit afraid that maybe if there's a baby wyvern, it's chasing me for food, and it's just misread the situation. Maybe there's a parent wyvern around somewhere, so it wants to hurry up and knock me out and get some food before something happens. So it screeches. I see the troll, and now we're going to engage in battle. So we're going to move this over here. The troll is a formidable threat, which means that whenever I score a hit on the troll, I will be marking 1 progress. So that means theoretically I'm going to be doing this 1 box at a time with 10 boxes. So this could be tricky. We'll see how this goes. So we are going into this fight. The troll like yells at me. I picture it kind of, because I'm picturing it sort of Yeti-like. I'm picturing it screaming with these huge, gnarled, pointy teeth, but it lets out this roar and it kind of beats its chest almost like a gorilla. But it's a little bit scarier than that, and it screams at me and lets this out. And we are going to enter the fray. So I set the rank of each of my foes. So it's just a troll. So we know it's formidable. And then roll to determine who is in control. Let's see how well my wyvern, who doesn't actually provide me any mechanical benefits, warned me about this. So I am not moving. So yes, I'm going to say ambush because that's what the troll does. So we're going to roll plus wits to see how I do here. So 5 plus my wits is 3. So that's an 8. Let's roll these challenge dice. Okay, so that's a 5 and a 9 on the challenge dice. It's a weak hit for me to realize this thing and be able to react before it attacks. So I can bolster my position and take +2 momentum, or I can take initiative. Initiative in this game does not mean the same thing as initiative in, say, Dungeons and Dragons. Initiative is kind of the narrative permission to use different combat moves. So when you have initiative, you can do different moves than when your foe has initiative. Your moves that cause damage when you don't have initiative are a little bit more defensive and they whittle away at them, whereas your moves when you do have initiative mean you might take more damage, but you do more harm to your opponent. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm kind of thinking that I want to take the momentum just to, I'll let the troll almost surprise me, but at the last second, I pay attention to what the wyvern is saying and I kind of round on it. So that'll take my momentum up to 9. And so at this point, when your foe has initiative, they are in control and taking actions which force you to react. So I can clash to fight back, but that's what I'm kind of fighting on the defensive in that case. I'm not taking the fight to them, but I'm making swipes to make it harder to hit me by counterattacking. I can face danger to just completely dodge. I can compel them to try and force them to accept surrender, or I can attempt to turn the tide, but I can only do that once per fight. And in that case, I would try and get the initiative. I think in this case, I'm going to do something interesting because this troll jumped out and scared me. I am going to, also because I'm a berserker, I'm going to yell back at it. I'm going to see if I can kind of take some of the nerve out from under it. I'm not expecting this to work, but we will see. So compel. So this is threatening or inciting, so I will be rolling plus iron. But I am compelling by embodying my wild nature, which means I'm going to add a +1 and I will get momentum if this works. But if this works, then I may not be dealing with a troll. So I turn around and I wheel on it. I pull out my knives as this thing is thundering towards me, and I scream back at it as loudly as I can. And I steal my gaze to stare straight into its eyes. And I roll iron, which is 3, so I'm at +4. So that gives me a 7. So that has a 6 and a 7. So I get a weak hit on the compel. On a weak hit, they will ask something of you in return. So I'm yelling at this thing to not fight. I'm actually thinking in this case, I'm going to yell at it and it stops dead in its tracks. And for a second, we square off at each other. And I am going to, because it seemed hungry, I'm going to throw one of my supply to it. So my supply is at 1. And I'm going to throw it off the path. And, you know, the troll was charging at me. It wanted to eat me, but it's going to take a smaller meal because it's still worried that that wyvern is kind of potentially the herald of something else. And it goes off to go after those things. And we scuttle off down the road after the troll goes after the supplies that I threw off into the bushes. So I lose some supply, but I managed to face down a troll and stare it down and scream at it to get it to stop charging before I threw food at it. So this troll almost had me dead to rights, but thankfully I'm willing to throw food at a problem. So now we've done that. Let us, we finished our trip down the road. So first off, for my vow, we have actually marked off 2 segments of this vow so far. Because this is a formidable vow, and for formidable, I mark off 1 each time. So for the different segments of this vow so far, I found out how to face down the person that has stolen the skull. I've made the journey to find the site, so that is 2 out of 10 here. I'm not going to try and force a resolution because that would mean that I would have to roll a 1 on both the challenge die in order to, you know, suddenly have the warlock show up and say, "Oh, here, take the skull. I'm sorry." So I'm not going to try that yet. So we're going to attempt to delve a little bit into this place and secure another segment. I'm going to say this next segment is going to be basically me finding him in the delve. So that's going to be another incremental path here as we dive into this this borrow. And the borrow I originally had set up as dangerous. So thankfully, it won't take me quite as long to delve the depths of this borrow. But now we're going to look into our delve moves. All right. We are delving the depths. So when you traverse an area within a perilous site, envision your surroundings, then consider your approach. If you navigate this area with haste, roll plus edge, with stealth or trickery, roll plus shadow, with observation, intuition, or expertise, roll plus wits. I think I'm going to be carefully peeking around. I've done enough young and impetuous things that I might be learning a little bit. This area is a borrow mound, but it's a very impressive one. It's actually a borrow mound that is from the ancients that inhabited this place. So these are actually elf-touched people that lived in this region before a lot of the other humans had started building settlements this far north. So this is a strange and mystical people that have been, they are found every so often, but for the most part, their society and civilization is gone. These burrows are carved out and well preserved, but they're dark and no one is currently lighting them. So I'm going to pull out a torch and start walking through this borrow mound, which may have multiple levels to it. Another thing to point out, that the progress tracker has 3 different areas on it, which means that when you get a miss or a weak hit and you face the consequences, they are more momentous when you are in the middle or the end section of delving a dungeon than they are in the early section. So it actually, the longer you're delving this dungeon, the more likely you're going to get something that's going to hammer you really, really hard. So I light up this torch. My wyvern screeches a little bit because it was actually seeing okay in the dark before I lit up the torch, but it's still on my shoulder. And I start walking in past all these burial mounds, most of which don't seem disturbed when I first come into here. So we're going to roll plus wits. 6. That's a 10 and a 7. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. So, yeah, unfortunately, that means that my my momentum is at 9. Do I want to get a weak hit here? Let's see what the consequences are. On a weak hit, roll on the following table according to your stat. So, you know what? I think we're just going to go with the total failure and reveal a danger, especially since I scared off that troll without getting into much of a fight. So let's see what's waiting for me in this first area before I manage to get very far at all. So we are in the first area, so this danger is not going to be overly difficult. All right, I think, we're going to go with the Bone Walker because we've just got in here and this shouldn't be a super dangerous threat. So, Bone Walkers are human remains given unnatural life. The source of the dark energy animating them is a mystery. Bone Walkers usually roam the location of their final resting place. I am going to say that this is actually not the body of one of the elf-touched people that built this in ancient days. This is actually a tomb robber that died here and is kind of cursed to defend the burial mound that he was desecrating. And this also means that since I'm fighting this, it's going to be a lot harder to convince it not to just leave. I'm not going to try and intimidate this. This thing is probably just going to need to be battered senseless in order for me to move on. So let's go back and revisit our we are going to enter the fray again. I think in this case, I don't think this thing was quite as able to set an ambush for me as the troll was. So in this case, I think moving into position to attack an unaware foe. No, I think we're facing off one-on-one, so this is going to be plus heart. It knows that I'm there. I know that it's there. It took long enough to pull itself together. So we're going to roll plus heart. That is a 6. And my challenge dice are 2 and 2. So I got a strong hit. So I'm going to take plus 2 momentum, which I can only take 1 momentum. So I'm at 10 now for my momentum, which is good because we're getting into some dangerous territory now. And I'm getting no benefit from this. I just ran into this danger before making any progress on delving into this dungeon. So I have initiative, which means that I can use some of the more aggressive moves in combat. I believe that yeah, I'm just going to strike. I'm just going to pull out both of my my fighting knives and just attempt to whittle away at his bones with a bunch of quick strikes to some of the thinner bones so that I can whittle away at his structure. So I'm just going to quickly start doing that. So I'm going to roll plus edge, which is only +2 for me. That's a 7. And my challenge dice are 9 and 2. Um, let's see. Do I want to do that? I think I'm going to take the weak hit. I inflict harm but lose the initiative. So I was so busy trying to whittle away at these bones, I start doing it, but I lose track of the fact that even though I I broke a bunch of the support bones and maybe one arm fell off, that it still has a weapon and I'm a little bit too close within its reach. So I have to jump back quickly after I do all of this whittling. So there's like this furious hacking and these clacking noises as I cut away at these things. And then I realize that it has an axe in its hand that it's about to draw up on me, and I kind of like backpedal in a manner that looks way less impressive than all the whittling away that I was doing with my knives. So since I was using knives, I get to do 2 progress per harm, and I do 2 harm because I have weapons out, which brings me to having done 4 damage to this thing. And now I'm going to have to figure out, now that I don't have the initiative, how do I want to deal with this thing? And I don't think I can convince this to accept surrender. I don't know that I really want to go full defensive. I think I want to be clash. Like, I wheel back a little bit and it gets ready to hit me with its axe, but I'm still not in full retreat. I'm still waiting for that opening that I can dart in and break some more bones by leveraging my knife in between them. So we're going to roll plus iron, which is 3. Gives me a 5. And that is a 2 and a 9. So that is a weak hit on my part. You inflict harm, but then pay the price, and your foe has initiative, which your foe already has initiative. It's very interesting. So yeah, foe keeps initiative. I managed to do harm, which is actually pretty good, because if I manage to do harm, that's another 4 boxes that I did. But the problem is, I only have to do 2 more to knock it out, or I can try and just end it. But at the same time, now I'm going to have to endure harm because it got a shot in on me while I darted in. So I thought I saw an opening. I went in, I leveraged a knife in and broke away some bones. But as those bones were breaking in, it brings its axe down on me. And let's see. I am going to suffer. It inflicts 2 harm. So that brings my health down to 2. Maybe I should have taken that +1 health before. So my health is down to 2. And then roll plus health or plus iron. So at this point, my iron is actually higher. So that's +3. That's a 5. And my challenge dice are 2 and 4. So somehow I still managed to get a strong hit out of that. So the axe kind of hits me on my hip and I roll away. It hurts like hell, but I'm still mobile. So on a weak hit, you press on. So all I did was take the damage. And I think at this point, I'm going to go for the killing blow. Instead of rolling for anything, I'm just going to roll the 2 challenge dice and hope that they come up under 8. So we are going to end the fight. So good. So the challenge dice are a 3 and a 2, and our progress track was at 8. So that means that when you make the move to take decisive action and score a strong hit, you may resolve the outcome of the fight. If you do so, roll the challenge dice On a strong hit, the foe is no longer in the fight. They are killed, out of action, flee, or surrender as appropriate to the situation. So basically, I'm going to say that at this point, it hit me, it tagged me on the hip. I'm bleeding out and I'm in a little bit of pain, but I roll around behind it and I take the pommels of both knives and I hit the skull on either side, and the skull just shatters and the rest of the body falls away. So I managed to do away with this bone walker. And the wyvern now comes out from behind one of the cairns that it was hiding behind, because it's not super happy with unnatural things, and I haven't really trained it for battle yet. So it kind of lets out this weird coo and like hops over to me, almost looks kind of chicken like, because it's not quite, taking to the air. So at this point, I'm going to get to the end soon, but I would like to make some advancement into these depths. So let's take another round, another segment into the dungeon and see how this goes. So I'm gonna roll plus yeah, we're definitely still doing this carefully now. So we're gonna roll plus wits. That gives me a 7 on my roll. And a 10 and a 7. So I don't beat either one of those. That would be a complete miss, but I think I'm going to spend my momentum now, because I need to make some progress into this place and not just keep getting lost and having things ambush me. So at this point, I am going to spend my momentum, reset it to 2, and I am going to so I'm using wits. On a weak hit, roll on the following table according to your stat. So that is a 50. So I mark progress. Nothing fancy. I just managed to make it further in. I notice the wind blowing, so I light another torch before this torch blows out. I find a passageway to move to another level of the dungeon, and I mark progress. Woohoo. And this is dangerous. So since it's dangerous, since this is dangerous, that means I mark 2. So 2 out of 8, or 2 out of 10, I mean, on this progress bar. So I could try and say that I found the warlock and roll my dice and find out that I was really wrong and I'm completely lost and have to start over. We're not going to do that quite yet. Let's see, it's 9:43 when I'm playing this, so I think we'll play this out a little bit longer here. So I'm going to keep delving a little bit deeper. I made it to the 2nd level. I found a passageway here, so I'm gonna roll plus wits. So that is a 5 and a 3 and a 2. So once again, I get a strong hit. Like after that initial fight with the Bone Walker, I'm getting a lot more careful about where I'm looking for. I'm finding where the hidden staircases are at, because they're kind of recessed, and even with my torch, the shadows are hiding them. And I managed to find another spot to move to, and that is a strong hit. So on a strong hit, you delve deeper, mark progress, and find an opportunity. So we're going to do boop 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 boop. All right, so that's 4 progress out of 10 so far. We've gotten further in, and find an opportunity. All right, so find an opportunity. When you encounter a helpful situation or feature within a site, roll on the following table. If you are making this move as a result of a strong hit on Delve the Depths, you may pick or envision an opportunity instead of rolling. Then choose gain an insight, take +1 momentum, or you and any allies may make a move which directly leverages an opportunity. Huh. I think this area provides an opportunity to scavenge, forage, or hunt. I find some natural caves that are attached here so that I can kind of get off the path of delving this dungeon on the second layer and use these caves as a place to kind of regroup and maybe find some mushrooms or lichens to feed off of, and maybe scavenge for a little bit more material. And I'll do that in a moment. So I could either directly leverage the opportunity and get +1 and +1 on momentum on a hit, or just take +1 momentum. I think I'm going to do a +1 to scavenge for more supplies while I'm in here, and then if I get a hit, then I will get the momentum as well. So, especially since my supply is at 1. So resupply. That's going to be plus wits. So that is a 4. My wits are 3, and I get a +1 because I found the perfect opportunity for this. So that is an 8 total. Let's see what the challenge die say. That is a 4 and a 1. So that is a strong hit. On a strong hit, you take +2 supply. So I find a whole bunch of mushrooms that I know are edible. And I actually think back, and I'm very fond of, going through all of the books and the stored things in the witch's hut, because I found these mushrooms in there and I know that I can eat them and I know that these are edible. So that's a fond memory as I'm stuffing all of these mushrooms that I find in this cave in here. So now that moves my supply back up to 3, and it moves my momentum up to 3. And it gives me like this brief respite while I'm, sitting here getting ready to scavenge. I'm on the second level of this dungeon. I don't know quite how many levels there are to this thing, but this gives me a moment to say, hey, I'm not entirely screwed. And I'm gonna try and do another segment of this exploring at this point. So let us go back to Delve the Depths. All right. So we're on the second level. We're looking around. We take our foray into the cave. I'm still being careful here, and I get a 9. And my challenge dice are an 8 and a 7. So that was a strong hit. So once again, I get to mark progress. So that is 6 out of 10. Almost tempted to push it and see if I can find the warlock, but I'm not quite ready to push it yet. So so yes, I marked those, and let's go back to find an opportunity. All right. So find an opportunity. Let's see what I'm going to roll on the Oracle for find an opportunity, and if we don't like it, we'll do something else. You are alerted to a potential threat. Don't really like that one so much because I really want to find this warlock. I'm really kind of focused here, and I don't necessarily really want to screw around with anything else that doesn't jump out at me at the moment. I think I would like to encounter a denizen who might support you. That seems like a good one. So I am down here, and at this point, I run into the spirit of one of these ancients that tended this place, and they're wondering why I'm here. And I explain to them that I am seeking this warlock, and they tell me that the natural magical balance is out of place in this barrow, and that they can sense it. And I am telling them that part of the problem is probably because this warlock has taken an artifact from this town and is using this place as his own personal base of operations. And I am going to attempt to, so I can encounter a denizen who might support you, which means I am going to attempt to make a compel roll. And I think in this case, once again, Rassa does really well when he's super earnest. So I'm just going to basically tell them, I don't know what you know of these people that live here anymore. I don't know if you've ever had any contact with them, but they are living, and you know what it was like to be living. And they need to fend off the spirits that are unquiet and hungry. You are at peace here in your barrow, at least to some extent, until this warlock disturbed your sleep. But for those spirits that are unquiet naturally, they want to feed on the living, and I need to help these people so that they are not fed on by the living, and so that they may remain at peace. And I appeal to him remembering what it was like for him to be. And actually, you know what? I'm going to call myself out there. I should not have assumed that it was going to be a him. This could be a she, or it could be a they. Actually, I'm going to go with they, because I think that makes sense in this situation. So I asked them to remember what it was like to be alive, and I try and kind of relate experiences of what villages do now, because I don't know much about their society, and I just appeal to them by explaining to them what modern life is like. So I am going to roll plus heart, and I get a bonus because I found this opportunity, which is good because I rolled a 1. So that is a 6 total. So I'm not making the best of cases for this. 6 and an 8. So I had an opportunity to have the spirit help me out, and I got a weak hit, which means I am going to pay the price. And let's see what kind of price I pay. I think I am separated from something or someone. This spirit is completely impassive as I say this, but all of the spirit and magical corruption has actually freaked out my wyvern a bit, and they are now lost in this barrow complex. So I'm going to have to find my poor wyvern before I leave this place. And yeah, I think that's I think at this point I'm going to, because I would like to find the warlock before I go and track down my wyvern. So I think I'm going to roll to see if I can find the final chamber of this place on this progress move. And that is a 7 and a 1. So it's a weak hit. Let's go back to here. On a strong hit, this is a locate your objective for this particular location. So when your exploration of a site comes to an end, roll the challenge dice and compare your progress. Momentum is ignored on this roll. On a weak hit, you locate your objective, but face an unforeseen hazard or complication. Envision what you want to find. I actually think since I got this weak hit, I don't even have to find the wyvern. The warlock has actually captured it. And he is getting ready to sacrifice the wyvern. So before I even start this fight, I'm going to have to save the wyvern before I engage with him. But I have delved the dungeon, which puts me another step towards resolving this vow. So that puts me at 6 out of this vow, so I might actually resolve it soon. But before we engage in battle, I must make sure the wyvern is safe. I cannot let it die because of this complication. So let's look on our moves and see what we have. All right, I think we're going to go with, you assess the situation, make preparations, or attempt to gain leverage. Envision your action and roll. I think, yeah, for my, I think I'm going to make a secure an advantage to try and get the wyvern out of his clutches before we start this fight. So if I secure an advantage with speed, agility, or precision, roll plus edge. With charm, loyalty, or courage, roll plus heart. With aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, or endurance, roll plus iron. Stealth or trickery. I actually think, because we're starting to bond a little bit, I am going to try and secure this advantage by, even though he doesn't normally help me, I am going to flavor this as rolling plus heart to tell him when to flare his wings and fly away. So I'm going to try and distract the warlock and then give him the order to fly away with plus heart. And so that is a 7. And that is a 6 and a 2. So that is a strong hit. You gain advantage, choose one, take control, make another move now, and add +1. Prepare to act, take momentum +2. I think instead of doing those, and I probably could have found a better move for this, but I need a little bit more time to actively play with the rule set to make sure that I'm using the right moves. The more moves something like a Power by the Apocalypse or something like this has, the more you need to get a feel for exactly what the right moves are. So I rolled on that one. I don't know if it was the best one, but I'm just going to say with a strong hit, I managed to distract the warlock. I go over to the side and start talking to him, and then all of a sudden I yell out to the wyvern, and I say now, and it flares its wings and it flies away from him, and he no longer has it grasped around the neck because I distracted him. So now we can start our fight in earnest, and let's roll to enter the fray. So we have this warlock. He's got various he's got skulls, and he's got wands, and he's got a knife in his hand. So I'm going to flavor most of his attacks as being magical in nature. I'm going to say that he is a formidable foe because, you know, this is a serious thing that I need to finish up against him. So now I'm going to roll, and facing off against your opponent, roll plus heart. Yeah, neither one of us are surprised. We just had that instance where I saved the wyvern, but that isn't really so much one of us getting the drop on each other. We both know exactly where each other is, and the wyvern managed to get away. That was the last chance I really had to surprise him. So that is a 5 plus my wits, so that's 8. That is a 2 and a 1, so that was a strong hit. So I entered this fight ready to go. So I pull out the fighting knives again, and I lunge at him. And I am definitely going to go for the strike right off the bat because I want to defeat this guy. And because I'm kind of waiting to, playing to find out what happens. I'm not going to say whether the skull is here or not, because we're going to see how well I resolve my vow so far. Whether he dropped the skull off somewhere else and I still need to look for it. But taking out this warlock is definitely going to be part of resolving the vow. I jump at him with both knives and I start hacking away at him, and I weave around the knife in his hand and move in on him. And I am going to roll, and I am attacking in close quarters, so I'm rolling plus iron. That is a 7. Ooh, that is a miss. Where is my momentum? Is only at 3 because I've already spent that. So yeah, that's a miss. Your attack fails, you must pay the price, and your foe has initiative. And I am going to say that at this point in time, I am not good on health. I might die in this. So we're going to face danger. Or not face danger. We're going to endure harm. And I'm going to say he does 2 harm. That brings me to 0 health. If your health is 0, suffer momentum to any remaining health. So I'm at 0, so I don't need to suffer any remaining. But now I'm going to roll plus health or plus iron. So that's plus 3 to see what goes on here. Oh, this is not good. Whew, that's a 9. My challenge dice hate me. So that's a 6 and a 10. So that is a weak hit. So on a weak hit, I press on. So I have 0 health. I am in bad shape. I need to double check here. Just making sure what happens when you reach 0 health. Okay, just had to double check what happens at 0 health. I did manage to endure harm even on a weak hit, so I don't have to mark maimed yet, but I do have 1 bane, which is maimed, that I can mark if I fail the first time, and then after that I'm facing death. So don't have to do that quite yet. So we're still in this. And also I figured out that since because of my existential dread out on the mountain when I was wondering about the meaning of life, I also have to mark tormented until I finish the quest that I swore at that point in time. So I have a condition that will not clear until I finish that up. So here we are. What the warlock did, I am going to say that as I lunged at him and got my weak hit, he managed to put his hand on me, and I have basically his hand mark on my back underneath my furs, which I can't see yet, but it's like a frostbite burn on my back that caused me that harm. So now, since he has the initiative, we are changing what we are using in order to face him down. I kind of want to yell at him and tell him to drop the skull, but I think after that really bad entrance into this fight, I don't know that I'm going to look that impressive. So I believe I am just going to clash. So I'm going to roll plus iron. Oh my gosh, my dice want me to die. That's a 5. Oh. Oh. So he retains initiative, and I must pay the price. So again, I am taking harm. So I'm going to say this is another, in this case, he breathes out this gout of cold cold breath on me, and I start to feel this chill as it settles into my body. And let's see what happens as I endure harm. And I'm rolling plus iron because I have no health. So that is an 8. That's a weak hit again. I continue to press on, so I don't have to mark that yet, but I am in dire straits at this point. Man, should I try and turn the tide? Okay, so once per fight, when you risk it all, you may steal initiative from your foe and make a move, not a progress move. When you do, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. Yeah, I think I'm going to spend my once per attack, turn the tide, and lunge at him with both knives and try and make a strike attack. So if I fail this, he gets initiative again, and I'm probably dead. So we're gonna roll plus iron. Oh my god. That's a 4. That is a 3 and a 7. And yeah, my momentum's still at 3. So that's a weak hit on a strike. So technically, I did score a hit, so I don't suffer a dire outcome, and I don't have to pay the price. That was with my +1 for using my turn the tide, so I don't lose the initiative, and I do get 4 momentum now. And on a weak hit, you inflict harm but lose the initiative. So I had initiative briefly, and then I lost it again. But I hit him and I harmed him. Oh my goodness. This guy right here. Okay, so I'm not going to try and end the fight because I only got 2 out of 10 so far. I'm going to clash. I'm going to clash with him, so I'm rolling plus iron. That is a 6. 10 and a 9. Weak hit. Pay the price. This could be it. I could be dead. Oh yeah, now I have taken harm, so my momentum goes down. So my momentum is back down to 2. And endure harm. 4 plus iron, that's a 7. That's 2 7s. So in order to press on, I now must take maimed. And I think we're gonna go with basically he touches me on my face. And I have this handprint across my face, and I'm never going to get rid of that. I have this frostbitten handprint across my face as he burns it in there. So I can't mark that again if I fail. I mean, I really want to try and intimidate him, but I don't feel like I've been doing enough to try and do a compel here. So I am going to make another clash here. So yeah, I'm really like weakly batting at him with this knife, waiting for an opening, and his sorcery has really got me on edge. And I actually think I'm probably a little disturbed by the noises that the wyvern's making because it's kind of cheering me on. All right, so that is a 4. So that's a 7. That is a 2 and a 1. So I finally get a strong hit. So I back up from him. I back up from him. I'm very wary of his hands. I'm worried about his frost breath. I was actually starting to doubt myself. And then I see this moment of this one quick moment, and I feint with one knife and I swing around and slash hard with the other. And so that is a strong hit. And on a strong hit, you inflict your harm and choose one. And I take the initiative. So, all right. So I have him up to 4 harm now, and I have the initiative. You find an opening. Yeah, I'm instead of taking momentum, because I'm going to keep taking momentum if I don't die outright. So I'm going to inflict 1 extra harm. So he's up to 5. And now I'm going to move into strike because I finally got within his reach. I got a solid cut across his chest. Some of his magical accoutrements dropped to the floor because I cut the line holding them, and I have the warlock's blood on my knife, and I want more of it on there. So strike, I'm going to roll plus iron. That is a 9. That's a 9. That's a 9. Don't screw me, challenge dice. That is a 2 and a 1. So that's a strong hit on a strike. So on a strong hit, you inflict +1 harm. That is awesome. Okay, so that brings me up to 8. I think I'm going to try and end this fight now. So I'm just going to roll the challenge dice and roll it against the progress. So I got a weak hit on that because the challenge dice are a 7 and an 8. So I bring this to an end. On a weak hit, you are overcome. Endure stress. It's worse than you thought. Endure harm. Huh. I think I'm going to endure stress. I realize how close to death I am at this point in time. So, so we are going to go to spirit. Spirit drops by 2, so spirit's at 2 now. And then roll plus spirit or heart, whichever is higher. My heart is higher. That's a 6. Oh. Okay, so on a miss, suffer -1 momentum. If you're at 0 spirit, you must mark the shaken or corrupted. So we mark shaken. And all right, so instead of taking I'm going to take shaken, and so until I can clear the shaken condition, I cannot increase my spirit anymore, and I think that's an appropriate thing in this situation. So I move in, and I finally like thrust the knives into the warlock. But what I do is I pin both of his hands down to the table that he has set up down here. And instead of killing him, basically I wait for him to surrender, and I am going to ask him what he has done with this mask and what he is doing with these artifacts. And I'm going to roll to see if I have fulfilled my vow, because my vow is now at 8. So hopefully I don't roll terrible. That is a weak hit. That's a 10 and a 2 on the challenge dice. So I did fulfill my vow. We're going to say the mask was here. Fulfill your vow. When you achieve what you believe to be the fulfillment of your vow, roll a challenge die and compare to your progress. So on a weak hit, there is more to be done. No. Yes. On a weak hit, there is more to be done, or you realize the truth of your quest. Envision what you discover, then mark experience. You may swear an Iron Vow to set things right. If you do, add +1. Huh. I think I don't want this to go on too much longer, but I'm going to say that he has this set up deeper in the cavern so that this will be drawing spirits that he wanted to control. So I am going to have to, I think this is just going to be a troublesome vow. I'm going to swear to set things right. So I'm going to set that troublesome vow because I know exactly where that mask is. So that troublesome vow, I'm going to be marking 3 progress every time I do something. So I'm going to die before this is over. So I am going to gather information in order to find where this is at. I'm going to ask him some questions and look around at my surroundings and try and put things together. So I'm going to roll plus wits. That is a 6. That's a 9. That's 2 on both challenge dice. So that's a strong hit. You discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or the action you must take take 2 momentum. So I'm going to add 2 momentum. So I'm up to 4 momentum. So I'm going to say, since this is troublesome, that's 3 towards my... And I am going to say I probably will have to face danger going in here because of the necromantic energies that are swirling around here and all of the extra things that are happening. I'm going deeper and deeper, and this is where the actual magical corruption is going. So now I'm going to face danger as I dive headlong into this, and I've already felt the hand of death on me, and it may not be letting go. So when I face danger, I'm going to say it's with courage. I'm just going to walk straight into all of this swirling spiritual energy that is in these corridors. And so with heart, that is a 6, a 9, and a 10. So that is a miss. So I'm going to pay the price. I think in this case, instead, I'm not just saying this because I'm almost dead, because I'm spiritually messed up too. I think I am going to endure stress. So that's going to bring my stress down to my spirit down to 0, just like my health. And gonna roll plus heart and see what's going on. So that's a 10. And that's a strong hit. So on a strong hit, shake it off if your spirit is greater than 0, suffer -1 momentum in exchange for +1 spirit. I can't regain spirit because I am shaken, unfortunately. So yeah, about the only thing I can do is embrace the darkness. So my momentum goes up to 5. So I tried to go in there, and I just felt this existential dread overtake me. I had to steel myself, but I still haven't gone past that spiritual barrier. So I'm going to have to endure danger again. This is still not over yet. So I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to look around. I'm going to look back in the passageway and see that the wyvern is actually kind of looking at me and maybe starting to care about my progress. And but I kind of take heart from that and dive back in. So I'm going to use courage again to dive into the swirling spiritual energy in this corridor, and Hopefully I make it. Oh my god, that is a 1. It's a 1 on a d6. And my heart is 4. That gives me a 5. That's 2 7s. That's 2 7s, so I can't do anything with my momentum. I'm gonna endure stress again, and I could be like going insane and freaking out here. So yeah, that's a 6. That's a 5 and a 1. Man, so I keep trying to go in here, and then the ghosts and the thoughts of death start swirling in my mind, and I steel myself against those, but I don't quite make it past the barrier. I keep trying to go past the barrier and thinking I'm going to fall to despair, but I don't fall to despair, but I don't cross the barrier. It's almost like real life. Man, how am I going to face danger? Or thinking I need to do this differently instead of just going in there. I'm going to use expertise, insight, or observation. I'm going to roll plus wits. I'm going to see if there's any side passageways or anything. Maybe my warlock friend told me this is the only way through, and he was lying about that. So let's see if that's true. A 9. It's a 9 and a 2. That's a weak hit. But I do see that side passageway, and I realize that fucker wanted me dead, and he wanted me to walk straight through that barrier, and he knew I was going to have a hard time with it. So I see the side passage, and on a weak hit I face a troublesome cost. I'm going to lose some momentum because that makes perfect sense. I spent so much time just trying to dig through here that that this was a problem. But I get through this barrier, and I mark 3 more progress towards my my troublesome vow here. So I'm up to 6. I don't quite want to risk that this is the room that the mask is in quite yet, because I don't want to fail this one. I'm kind of hoping I can push through to 9, so it's a lot more likely. So I'm going to say in this case, I think since I found a side passageway, I'm going to have to gather information again. I found the side passageway, so I got around all the swirling spiritual energy, but now I don't know, because the path that he was telling me to take was exactly through that morass. So now I need to figure out my own way through here again. Not only did I have to measure his instructions against what I knew, what I was seeing, now I need to triangulate where I actually am now. So I am going to roll plus wits. That's a 7. That's a 3 and a 10. So that's another weak hit. So I'm gonna mark my progress. So that puts me at a 9. Before I roll to see if this is the final thing, there is, on a weak hit, the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. Envision what you discover and take a +1 momentum. So I'm going to move my momentum back up to 5, and I'm going to say, this is, a classic last moment thing where I didn't, I figured out the right passageway, but the reason that this passageway didn't have all of that spiritual miasma draining people is because it had a good old fashioned trap in it. So I walk in here, and there are the penitent man blades, where like the 2 blades cut one or the other. So I'm going to face danger to see whether I realize soon enough that these blades were slinging in 2 different directions from the walls. And I think in that case, I'm going to be doing this with speed, agility, or precision. So I'm going to be rolling plus edge, which is not good for me. That is a 4. So that is a 4 and a 7. My momentum is 5, so I'm going to reset momentum to 2, so I get a weak hit. I'm going to get the weak hit, and I'm also going to I'm going to move my momentum all the way down to 1. So like those blades came out and cut some of my supplies out, and they fell into a wedge that I can't recover them from unless I want to lose my fingers to those blades. But I made it through without getting cut to pieces. Now we're going to roll to see if this is the chamber where the mask is at, and I resolved my other quest here. As an 8 and a 4 on the challenge dice, and I have 9 to resolve it. So that is a strong hit to fulfill my vow. I fulfilled my vow to find out this complication, and I have completed both of these vows now. Suck it, vows. So, so that means that fulfilling my vow, strong hit, your quest is complete. So, the first vow that I had was dangerous, and the second vow was troublesome, but I got a weak hit on the first one, which means I got a total of 2 experience points for all of this, and I have the mask. I fulfilled my vow to recover the mask, but I do need to get home. And there is a move for resolving you getting out of the dungeon, which I'm going to say also resolves me getting home. And I'm going to tie up this warlock and take him with me. So now we go to escape the depths. When you flee or withdraw from a site, consider the situation and your approach. If you find the fastest way out plus roll plus edge, steel yourself against the horrors of this place, roll plus heart, fight your way out, roll plus iron, retrace your steps or locate an alternate path, roll plus wits, keep out of sight, roll plus shadow. I am going to say plus wits. I would roll plus heart, but I don't really want to face the horrors. I've been damaged mentally and physically in this trip. So, yeah, let's roll plus wits. That is an 8. 2 5s on the challenge dice, so that is a strong hit on my way out. On a strong hit, you make your way safely out of the site, take +1 momentum. So I'm going to say what happens here is, because I made this way out, we're just going to cut to me arriving back from the mountains to the village. I have the warlock tied up with me because I may need him for information on how to fulfill these other quests that I've picked up. The people in the village are shocked and stunned to see this permanent handprint that is stuck on my face now. But it is about 2 or 3 days before they need to perform the ritual, and I hold this reindeer skull up to all of them and show them that I have it, and I present it to the leader of the town, and then I take a deep breath and decide that I'm going to spend some time in this town while they are preparing this ritual to rest and recover. So just for fun, I am going to see if I manage to bond with these people in this town. Forge a bond. When you spend significant time with a person or community, stand together, face hardships, make sacrifices for their cause, roll plus heart. If you make this move after you have successfully fulfilled your vow to their benefit, you may re-roll any dice. Oh, that's good. Roll plus heart. That is a 2 and a 4. So that's going to be a 6, an 8, and a 7. I'm going to re-roll this die. So that is an 8 now, which means that is a weak hit. I'm going to swear another vow for them. And the other vow that I'm going to swear is I'm going to take this warlock to another nearby town where they are looking to interrogate him for a missing artifact from their town as well. And I am going to say that one is going to be a troublesome vow, but I'm not going to resolve it now because I am resting in town. I have him tied up. The village is looking for him. I will complete these other 3 quests in the future. I have come back very changed. I was a young, idealistic person that said I was going to do this or die trying. I almost died trying. I've been permanently maimed. I have this black mark of a frostbitten hand across my face for the rest of my life now. And I need to figure out how to get unshaken. All right, so it looks like I can shake a debility, and if I can clear a condition with sojourn, because I am spending time in a community and seeking assistance. So I'm going to roll plus heart. I did swear a vow, so now I have a bond with them, so I have a +1 on the sojourn. So I spend a little bit of time up until the night of the ceremony, and so that is an 8, so that's a 9, and that is a 2 and a 7. So that's a strong hit as I spend this time in the community. I don't talk to a lot of people, but I spend time with them. I have food with them. I help them with their tasks. I'm a little bit withdrawn until such time as I kind of am ready for human company again. And so on a strong hit, you and your allies, which is me, may each choose 2 from within the categories below. So first off, I am going to hearten, which is clear a shaken debility and add +1 spirit. So my spirit goes back up to 3 and I am no longer shaken. And let's see, since I went ahead and just took my permanent mark, I don't have to clear a condition before I can regain health. So I am going to take +2 health. So, hey, I got really beaten up there. This is going to be interesting as he heads out. He learned a whole lot from this. He learned that he maybe overreached there. But I am going to say, since I got 3 XP, I am spending 2 of those XP to upgrade my bond with my wyvern. And when I do that, 1 second here. I have pages all over the place. So when I spend the XP to upgrade my wyvern, it gains insatiable. So when you undertake a journey and score a hit, you may suffer -1 supply in exchange for +2 momentum. So basically, he starts acting a little bit more like a pet at that point in time. And I have to advance him 2 more times before he will actually attack in combat. But he likes me now, and I can feed him stuff, and it makes me feel better because he's a pet, and it strengthens and heartens me, which is probably a good story to have, given how much despair that I face. It's probably good that I am now bonding with my pet wyvern. So that was my first playthrough of Ironsworn. I hope that was fun for everybody. I had a few places where I tried to use the wrong move in the wrong situation, and I'm sure I got some of the rules a little gnarled in there, but I had a lot of fun doing that. It was a pretty fun experiment for a solo game, and I hope that you enjoy that. If you enjoy these actual plays, please listen to my other actual plays that are going on right now, one of which is a game of Quest, where we are playing in the Eberron setting as employees of a newspaper uncovering a conspiracy in the lower wards of Sharn. And the other actual play that I have going on right now is the D&D 5e game, which is set in the Streets of Avalon setting. And it's kind of a gritty urban setting where people are trying to save the world from a rather creepy cultist when the world is already trying to march towards its demise. So if you want to hear either one of those, please also listen to those or watch them, depending on whether you're seeing this on YouTube or if you found my podcast feed. And if you are interested, you can find reviews and other articles that I write on Gnome Stew. And you can also find my blog at whatdoiknowjr.com. And that's about all I have for you. I'm going to sign off for now, and I hope this was enjoyable for you. Thanks.